All right. Waiting to go live here. Let's see. We're live on Instagram. And on LinkedIn. Where is Facebook at? Is Facebook live yet? How you guys doing out there? All right. Hopefully the Facebook Live is working. Let's see here. Oh, okay. What's up, Jason? Oh, you can't hear me yet. What's going on, Jason?
What's going on, Rob?
Hey, there we go. We are live finally. There you go. Hey, if you're on Facebook Live and you want to jump on the call, just click the Zoom link in the chat there. Feel free to jump on or just drop a question in the comments or comment in the comments and we'll get to it in a bit. So how's it going? What are you up to? How's your list been?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, man, that list. I was working with one of my partners out here. He said that list is pretty old because that's his thing, the pre-foreclosure stuff or whatever. So he said that list is pretty old. I was like, oh, okay, 'cause I guess because he works the same area I do, and that's more his lane than my lane. So yeah, so we're getting another one right now. I'm just gonna get it straight from the title company.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Title company should be a good
Well, that's
source.
usually where I get my list from, is from the title company.
What's that?
I usually get I get 95% of my list from title company.
Okay.
So that's like my first time using PropWire.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I was taking a look at PropWire a little bit. I'm kind of curious about using it for finding buyers rather than finding motivated sellers, but I haven't taken a deeper dive into that.
I dove into that. I think I did that like Monday, because I was talking either Monday or Sunday. And like while I was looking like in Kit's app, right? It's like so like it's not accurate. I don't know what criteria that they're using, but it's not accurate because it said there's like 70. There's not 77 cash buyers out here. 77,000.
Oh,
I want
70,000.
to say it was 77,000 or 7,000. It was one of the two. It was something ridiculous. So let me see.
So I mean, so it's possible. It depends on how far back in time they're going, right? If they're not like saying, oh, over the last 6 months or over the last year, if they're just doing it as far back as they have data, it's very possible there could be 77,000 buyers over the course of the last, 5 years or something like that, right? So, like in PropStream, you can kind of set a bounds on the dates that you're looking at for purchases, right? And if you're trying to find like cash buyers in PropStream,
because so ideally, single family condos and mobile homes, 13,000.
13,000 in what area?
In Kitsap County.
In Kitsap County. Over what time period?
See, that's where I don't think it lets you do that.
Okay, so you're basically going to spend, you could potentially be, yeah. So if you're using this to find buyers, you could potentially be calling people who haven't bought anything in like 5 years or something. Right. So you're going to be potentially wasting your time. So I probably wouldn't rely on PropWire then for helping to try to find buyers.
Let's see. Let's do 2021.
Yeah, if you can set like specific, ideally what you'd want to do is like 3 months, right? You want to find people who like have just bought something, since the market has changed so much over the
I'll do
last year,
December.
right?
Now let's see what this gives me.
Yeah, exactly. Like December onwards would be perfect.
190.
Yeah, so there you go. If you can hit up those like 190, find out, well, what they're buying, how much they're buying, where they're buying, yeah, all the details about what they're actually looking for, then you can kind of target the deals that you're trying to lock up to that criteria, right? So kind of like reverse wholesaling in a way. But yeah, I haven't really done a deep dive into what else you can get out of it. So, but I mean, like, so with PropStream though, you can pull 10,000 leads out of there every month. That's kind of included in the price, right? So I guess the real value, the added value with PropWire, if you're pulling lists that are even larger than that, then you're not having to incur those additional charges that PropStream would charge for every record over 10,000 that you're pulling out. But
I haven't tried to pull one either that's been like a 18,000 or 13,000. Like I haven't tried it over here in PropWire to like try to download one.
Okay. So I'm curious though. So like I've spoken with a lot of wholesalers over the last maybe 2 weeks or so, and it seems like everybody is cold calling. And I kind of want to understand why cold calling seems so appealing for people.
Gotta get some kind of motion, man.
Yeah, but why cold calling? Why not out some other method to try
it's that, it's the whole VA thing, trying to find reputable VAs that won't burn you after 2 months of being good. And then, then they're burning all the phone time on 30 calls, like my situation beforehand. And, then the capital to do it. I mean, for 2 competent VAs, even with the company that I use, I can either get it for $1,200 or $1,400, but they're, very competent and can do full service. So acquisition and dispo, you just hands-free. I mean, that's, quite a bit. But I mean, I guess other people don't have that resource. So I guess, training somebody to do the VA, like, hey, I barely halfway know what I'm doing myself. So how can I train a VA? You know what I mean? So maybe they're running into that kind of stuff.
But I mean, why cold calling versus other marketing means?
It's cheaper.
Is it cheaper per deal though? If you were to look at number of deals that you close per dollar you spend on data and actual dialing and skip tracing and all that, dialer and skip tracing and all that stuff, and then the amount of time it takes to actually work a lead that you get in from that marketing channel, if you're looking at like a 4 to 6 month time to actually turn a lead into a closed deal, is it really end up being cheaper than other forms of marketing? So, I mean, it might seem that way because you're spending, hundreds of dollars a month or something like that. But if you're looking at like months and months and months before you get a deal locked up, did you really like save any money in the long run rather than doing some other?
If we work it backwards, let's say you get a list and your price per skip is 10 cents. So it's $1,000 plus cold callers. You got two VA cold callers. Let's just say $2,000. So you're in $3,000 and they're going through a list of 10,000. You might be able to get a deal right there for 3,000, but at the same time, you could go by iSpeed lead and get, I checked some leads over there between 250 to 350 to 400 per lead from people that are just doing the captures off of Facebook, and then they'll just sell it over there. And then, work those. So maybe they don't know about that, but I mean, I think that they're going for at least the more volume. Because even then, they're still not ready, or they're tire kickers. And, because I've had leads from Facebook.
Facebook leads suck bad. Like I said, Facebook leads suck bad. Like, so I run Facebook ads for a while, but
I mean, that's where most of them would come from, at least for iSpeed, the lead or whatever. That's where they're coming from. So like when you feel those, the wholesale, sell the houses now stuff, they go straight to iSpeed lead because you can see the ad, you can see the advert for that. And like, I was like, Oh, I've seen this on Facebook. So you know where the lead comes from. So you know where the lead gen comes from. It comes from Facebook.
Yeah, like I ran Facebook ads for a while, and somebody would fill out a form
Yeah.
and then call them right away, and maybe 40% of the time I could get an answer from that person. And
The
then
craziest,
a lot of times it was like, oh, I just wanted to see what my house was worth. I'm not
yeah,
really.
it's that shit. Or I don't remember doing it. Like you just filled it out. You filled it out
Yes.
10 minutes ago, and I'm calling you now. It's like I don't remember doing that. Like I
Yeah.
just got it.
Yes,
That
exactly.
just that drove me crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think Facebook is great, at least using it in that way either. But more my question is like, what is it about cold calling that's attracting so many people, especially people that are just starting out? Because I'm talking to all these people that are doing cold calling, and I'm like, how are you standing out from everybody else that's doing cold calling? Like, if people are pulling the same list from PropStream or Batch Leads or whatever, and everybody's hitting these same lists, what are you doing to stand out from everybody
That's
else doing
the
the same thing right now? And I feel like everybody's hurting right now, at least in this market. Like, so why
that's
are
the
people
sauce.
trying to do the same thing that everybody else is doing? Is kind of what I'm trying to get to the bottom of.
If you're leaving voicemails, you gotta leave a very enticing voicemail. And I don't know, I get calls back from my voicemails, so that's proprietary stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, I've learned how to do that by watching different YouTube videos, and I watched something that was pretty unique and it stuck with me. So once I started using that, I saw my callback rates go up.
Mhm.
It's not nothing magical. It's just what you say.
Yeah, maybe. I just feel like, yeah, if the same person's getting called multiple times or texted, and I have it happen too on the properties that I own. I own, rentals in other markets.
What are they
And
saying to you?
oh, how would you like an offer on your property? How would you like to sell your property for cash? I'm buying houses in the neighborhood. Like, it's the standard messages
So
that.
then they're order taking and not really selling.
What do you mean they're order taking?
Like if let's say right, let's say you work at a car dealership, and then I guess that's not the best analogy if nobody sold cars before. I mean, you can take somebody's order or you can sell them something. They're two totally different things.
Mhm.
When are they in the driver's seat when they talk to you, or are you in the driver's seat? That's pretty much what I mean by that.
Right, but I feel like if you are calling them, then they're in the driver's seats, right? Because you're the one that's reaching out to them. You're the one, you know, if you say, how much do you want for your house? And they're like, well, you're the one that called me, so you tell me what it is that you want to pay for it. Whereas if you're doing inbound marketing, right, people are reaching out to you, you're able to flip that script around and say, well, you're the one that called me. How much do you want for it? So I don't know. It's interesting. Like, nobody I have talked to these, past 2 or 3 weeks, as I'm kind of like starting to talk to a lot wholesalers that are just starting to get into this. Nobody's doing inbound marketing. It seems like it's all cold calling, and I'm trying to understand from people why that is. So,
I don't know, man. Got to get those inbound marketing channels up. Besides Facebook, what you got? Twitter, you got Reddit. You can't
well,
really
you
do
got, you got paid,
Discord.
like with Google, you got Google ads, you
Yeah.
got direct mail. That's one thing I'm not hearing as many people doing these days is direct mail.
Yeah, there's companies out there that do that too, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I actually did see a couple people post on Facebook, that they're dropping letters off in the mailbox and stuff.
Yeah, and they got like whole stacks of them. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So, but yeah, I want to dig into this a little bit more as I talk to some more wholesalers and try to understand, why it is. I don't know if maybe there's some gurus that are teaching cold calling as a way, or it just seems like it's the cheapest way to get started, even though it's going to be very time consuming and probably in the long run going to be
I think
more.
most people that are doing cold card don't have a multi-line dialer either. So I mean that's also another thing.
Mm,
doing it, individually typing, putting in numbers or, putting into a dialer,
yeah.
calling 4 or 5 numbers at the same time. That's really,
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is they might not be willing to pay for a dialer. And the other thing too is they're, trading their time for money, right?
yeah,
Because, they're going to be outsourced, or they're going to be doing all this work themselves, right? And most of these sellers are not going to want to talk to them. But I mean, I guess if you're trying to get your first deal, you got to try to, you're gonna have to try to go with whatever's going to give you the most bang for your buck, right?
yeah.
And I think cold calling seems like it's a natural choice, but I'm not too sure about that if you were to kind of dig in and try to look at the statistics a little more. So,
Let's see.
but yeah, so yeah, we got some deals that we're working on. We just got one in Tacoma that's just got yesterday, and trying to see if we can get some buyers that are interested in that one. It's unfinished flip, mostly finished flip, and there's a slab out in the backyard where there was a building on it, or there's a very old building on it at least, and so there's a potential to put a dadu on it. So this particular seller just needs to unload this thing. They're on a hard money loan, and they need to get out of it before they have to renew or extend it. And it's not cheap. I think it's going to be 1 or 2 points for like a 45-day extension on it. So we're
That's not King County.
trying to help them out with that. So, and then we got another deal just sold up in Shoreline. That one was an interesting one. That one had 2 separate dadus in the backyard. And so, but they weren't conforming. So the seller is gonna, or the buyer is gonna be working on trying to work with the city to get those things up to code, but there's gonna be some pretty mad cash flow there once they get the properties all rented out. The 2 dadus are currently got tenants in them, but the duplex on the front part of the lot is currently vacant. So they're going to do some work on that, do some cosmetic updates on it, and then get it rented out. So that thing is gonna cash flow nicely once it's all said and done. And they got it at a pretty good price too. So we're trying to find some more deals like that. Some more multifamily, multi-unit cash flowing properties. We had another one that we're working on in Seattle, but price, unfortunately, was a little too high for what the seller is wanting for it. And Seattle just passed a crazy, I don't know if this is true or not. Somebody just posted this on Facebook, but city of Seattle just said that late payments for rents
$10.
capped at $10.
Yeah.
What's the point? Why have a late payment even if it's going to be $10?
I forgot who posted that, but yeah, I saw that. I think I saw that today
Yeah,
too.
it was somebody posted from City of Seattle's Twitter feed or something. At least that's what it looked like.
Oh, I thought Jesse posted it.
It might have been Jesse. I don't know. It might have been. But that's the other thing I'm kind of wondering about too, is why would anybody want to own a rental in the city of Seattle right now? It's like there's so many tenant friendly laws getting passed, and then another rule about having to pay the tenants relocation fees. So if you were to raise the rent and they can't afford it, then having to pay thousands of dollars in relocation fees to move the tenant somewhere else.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild.
yeah. So somebody on Instagram here is asking about short-term rentals. In Seattle, as far as I know, you can have one. I don't know how people get around this though, but officially you can only have one short-term rental in the city. But I know somebody that was basically doing rental arbitrage in Seattle, and they had like 50 units. So I don't know how they got around that. Maybe because they didn't actually own the units and they were just had them signed up on long-term leases and then renting them out short-term. But and then the COVID, the COVID rules in Seattle are pretty draconian. You couldn't sell your property. I mean, you couldn't evict a tenant even if you wanted to sell your property, or if you wanted to move back into your property. So like, let's say you weren't able to pay your rent or whatever, wherever you were living because of COVID, you couldn't move back into your own property to live there. The tenant wasn't paying you in your property and you wanted to sell it because you couldn't pay the mortgage and the taxes. That was too bad. You couldn't evict the tenant in that case either. And it's after seeing that, it's like, wow, like, okay, so you're still responsible for paying your property taxes, but the tenant doesn't need to continue paying you, and you're not allowed to sell your property. So basically, if you couldn't afford it, you would have to just let it go into foreclosure. So I don't know. I think a lot of smaller landlords, especially, were hurting. I mean, I was hurting during that period, and my rentals weren't even in Seattle. I had rentals. I have rentals all across the country, and at some point in time, maybe 40% of my tenants had stopped paying for a short period, and so that was not fun. But yeah, if I owned a ton of rentals in Seattle, I can only imagine what that must have been like. So yeah. I wouldn't be a fan of acquiring any more or any properties in Seattle. At least I've got some in Tacoma, and Tacoma's probably not going to be too far behind Seattle as far as rules go related to rental properties. So yeah, I'm currently in the process of selling my rentals in Oklahoma and Indiana. I've got a bunch of single family and small multifamily in both of those states, and I'm just finding it's becoming very cumbersome managing those, and I'd rather just own one larger multifamily or self-storage facility and not have to deal with 15 different insurance policies and 35 utility accounts and half a dozen different property managers, because these properties are all kind of geographically diverse areas. So I don't have one property manager for all of them. And this has definitely not been very passive at all, man, trying to keep tabs on all these single family and duplexes kind of all around the place. So I'm working on selling those. Some of them had been pretty sweet deals, and I'm kind of sad to let them go, but I would rather I would rather move into something larger, like a 15 to 20 unit, single 15 to 20 unit building, have one insurance policy, just deal with or I guess 3 utility companies, for gas, water, and electricity. And
have you thought about just doing your own development, or or is that even something that you've even thought about doing? Because I want to get there one day. I want to do like my own development, like 200 door development, and a housing development.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Maybe
at some point. So somebody here on Instagram is asking about syndication. Yeah, I've considered that. Like I'm looking at as I'm trying to find some larger deals across the country. So I'm looking for multifamily and self-storage. I would definitely be open to the idea of partnering up with people to take down a larger deal. So syndication seems like it could be a good fit for some of that. So yeah, because some of these deals that I'm coming across, basically I'm trying to network with other agents and wholesalers across the country and just letting them know what I'm looking for. I mean, I really like value add type deals where I'd be able to get my capital back out when all is said and done. But if it's a syndicated deal and you got investors on board that are just basically looking for cash flow, I'd be open to doing a turnkey type deal as well. And self-storage I'm finding that attractive just because it seems like there's going to be a lot less management headaches, especially from the eviction standpoint. I don't know how many pay or vacate notices I've had to send out on some of my properties in Oklahoma, trying to get the tenants to pay, and then the legal expenses associated with that, and then I sold a property on owner finance in Oklahoma, and that borrower defaulted on it, and so I had to go through the whole process of foreclosing on it, and that ended up costing me about $5,000 and taking 8 months or so to get that property back, and that.
Do you have boots on the ground out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a few, except the problem is my boots on the ground are mostly in the OKC area, and my properties in Oklahoma are kind of spread all over the states. So if it's around OKC, then I got people that can help me out. If the properties that are a bit further out, this is the other problem with that, I'm not going to do rural properties, at least not rural single family houses ever again. It's trying to find people in those areas that can help me out. Even property managers in some of these small towns are difficult to come by. And so these things have just been a pain to deal with. So I'm trying to simplify my life a bit and just move into something larger, and it's going to require less overhead as far as my time goes. So yeah, I don't know, maybe development at some point. I'm not too keen on it right now, but if I were to come across a deal, that it made sense on.
Or even develop your own storage. Like I was trying to help a friend because he wanted to do storage, and because he's from over here.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking for 10, 12 acres. There's
Mm-hmm.
one right up the hill from me, like directly up the hill from me. And it's like I think it was like 12 acres. He wants to do kind of like a hangar style, man cave style boats and stuff like that, because he does a lot of hauling for like Pavati, the boat company.
Mm-hmm.
So he does like a lot of hauling for them and stuff like that, and $1 million car collections and stuff.
Yeah, I think for storage, as far as development goes, what I kind of like is something that already has like a facility in place, but the property is big enough to expand it, So there could be cash flow going on while the development is also like going on, right? So there's potential way to add value there by basically expanding the square footage of the facility. And so that's one thing that I'm kind of looking for in these deals.
So no bridging for Rob, then. I got it.
No what?
No loan to bridge, huh? No bridge loans for Rob.
No, I mean, like if it's if it's going to take 18 to 24 months to is like like one of the deals I looked at was a pretty heavy value add. Like it was going to need, I mean, for the size of the facility, it was going to need maybe 150K in work. And so that one probably would have had to been like a bridge loan to acquire it, fix it up, get it stabilized, and refinance to permanent financing once everything was kind of good to go in 18 to 24 months. So I'm open to bridge loans for sure, but if I can find something turnkey that's cash flowing too, I would definitely take a look at that. So
because the one I was looking at, it already was pre-approved with blueprints for the storage.
okay,
yeah, it was actually nice too.
Location was that in?
Huh?
What location was that in?
No, that's right next to my house. That's like up the street from my house.
Oh, it's here in Washington?
Yeah, up here in Washington.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so all right, so what are your plans for this next week then? What sort of targets you want to hit?
I'm gonna work. I'm waiting for my list from the title company, and then just working that. Um, Still the route that we're not going to name, the route that must not be named, and then work that with my partner.
Cool. So we're want to try to get 3 more deals. The goal is to get 5 deals out a week. So falling behind on that this week. We got a bunch of deals to look at, trying to figure out which one of these are actually worth sending out. So the Tacoma deal was the first one, I think, to go out this week. Then we had another one in Longview that we sent out again, because we sent it out at the end of last week, but figured it'd be good to send it out again on Monday. So I would
You have a lot of buyers. Do you have a lot of buyers that are wanting to buy over here now? Or are you finding a trend for that?
Definitely getting more offers now than we were.
From out of state?
What's that?
From out of state?
No, from here in Washington for the
Oh,
deal.
okay.
Yeah, definitely getting more offers now than we were. So things are starting to pick up a bit. It was completely dead there for a little while, and it was interesting because it was such a large change from where things were at last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were getting hammered like crazy by requests from buyers, and everybody wanting to get first looks at deals and offering to pay for marketing in order for first looks, and that has completely gone away. That was kind of interesting, and but now buyers are starting to come back. I think with the retail market kind of starting to recover and interest rates looking like they've stabilized at this point, I think a lot of that initial fear has kind of subsided now, and so the cash buyers are starting to come back, and also summer coming up, people that are going to be finishing up flips, around the summertime, it'll be a good time to sell as well. So I think it's a good time for cash buyers to start jumping back in on projects that they'd be able to finish by by June or July, before school starts back up again. But yeah, it's definitely been slower than it was last year. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that the market's gonna continue to strengthen here into the summertime. So
you know what I've never got?
What's that?
The whole appeal. I never got the whole appeal to everybody rushing to Ohio for deals. I've never got that.
That's a good cash flowing market. There's been decent appreciation in some of the larger cities there. So, I mean, I own properties in Indiana, which is right next door to Ohio, and those have done really well, actually. Like 2 of my best BRRRR deals I've done in Indiana. It was like one duplex I bought for 55, put 30 into it. And this was 3 years ago, rented it for 1,800 a month. And I just put it on the market because I'm selling my stuff in Indiana as well. And so I got a pending offer at 190 on it. So that one cash flowed and it appreciated. And then my best BRRRR deal ever was another duplex I did a condo conversion on in Indiana. I bought that for 80K, just right at the edge of downtown. It was a big job. I put 230 into it. And then it appraised for 540. So I was going to sell it but it was during the pandemic, and downtown Indy was like completely dead.
Yeah.
At that point. And so I had it on the market for 6 weeks, hardly got any showings on it. I was looking at other stuff that had sold previously and stuff that was listed, and the pricing was right in line. So I ended up just furnishing it and keeping it as an Airbnb. So refied it. And that's when I got the appraisal back, and I ended up, so not only did I so I put a bunch of money into it, right? But it appraised for way more than I thought I was going to appraise for. And so I ended up getting like 70 or 80K back out of the refinance. So not only did I acquire this asset that was more than $500,000, worth $500,000, but I got paid 70K in order to do it. And now I got an Airbnb there, right? And it's probably appreciated another 100,000 since that time. And so, so I don't know. I feel like Ohio is it would be a very similar market, right? It's just all about where it's all about how you buy the deal, right?
Yeah.
And I think in some of those cities that are similar to Indy, so maybe like, the better parts of Cleveland and Columbus for sure, and maybe Cincinnati, there's probably a good mix of cash flow and appreciation in those markets, right?
I can see the cash flow, but not the appreciation. Like when I was calling in Ohio, everything up there is like 97 to maybe low twos from the like 600 leads I did have out there.
What city?
Appreciation wasn't there, but I mean the cash flow was there though. Yeah.
What city were you calling?
I don't know. It's in Podio somewhere. Let's see.
Yeah, because I feel like Columbus and Cleveland, like the nicer parts of those cities, are probably have had decent appreciation over the past 5 years. So yeah, I mean, even though the price points are lower, and same thing in Indianapolis, right? The price point there isn't going to be what it is here in Seattle, but still, like, just because a deal is 200 that costs 200,000 doesn't mean it isn't going to appreciate, right? Like, so this deal I bought basically for 85K all in, it sold for double what I paid for it, 3 or 4 years later. So, and that wasn't my plan going into it either. I was just going in for the cash flow and wasn't counting on that appreciation, just because I was thinking, okay, Midwest market, not going to be a ton of appreciation, but I don't care about appreciation really. I want cash to pay the bills. That's kind of was my thing. I want to replace my job, right? And I can't do it just based on appreciation. And then the thing is too, in Oklahoma, I kind of had a pleasant surprise there over the last 4 years. I definitely wasn't counting on appreciation there, but a lot of the properties that I have there have appreciated pretty well also. So
Dayton, Ohio, and a couple other ones.
Dayton, yeah. So Dayton might be a bit quieter than like Columbus. So.
But yeah, I did notice that there's just still so much land out there. It's really just half an acre or an acre with just a little ass house on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So so on Instagram, so it went up a lot recently though. What city are you referring to there that went up a lot? Are we just talking about the market in general? Because I guess the market in general overall, like the last few years, has gone up. Definitely some areas more than others. But Indy was nice for sure. Oklahoma City has been nice. And those properties there in Oklahoma City, they were cash flowing pretty well. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You can buy a house and have a $500 mortgage, and somebody's willing to pay you $1,000 a month in rent on it. It makes you wonder, okay, well, why aren't these people then buying the houses themselves? Especially if the price point is under 150K.
Yeah.
But I guess, down payment and credit are issues. Plus they got the Air Force Base there, so the population might be a bit more transient than other areas. People just want to rent rather than buy if they don't know if they're going to be there for that long. So, but alrighty, I'm going to drop off here. Yeah, the Midwest in general has gone up a lot recently. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the Oklahoma and I'm kind of curious what markets didn't do good over the last 5 years. That's the question. What markets didn't appreciate? Kind of curious about that.
I don't know, maybe all those Detroit homes that were selling for 15 grand, 20 grand.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, yeah, maybe some of the rural Oklahoma properties that I have, they probably haven't gone up quite as much as some of the stuff in the cities. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna drop off here. I'll be back tomorrow morning, calling some agents up, probably see if I can find some more deals. And we'll hopefully have another deal to put out here by tomorrow. We're working on one right now in Edmonds, and I think we got one in Bothell also that we're running our numbers on at the moment. So we'll see. Hopefully we get some more stuff to our buyers to take a look at. So, all right, guys, take care. Have an awesome day. If you want me to take you got a deal that you're trying to sell, regardless if you're an agent or a wholesaler and you want another pair of eyes on it, or you just need help finding a buyer, you want an opinion on what you think we might be able to find a buyer for it on, so you can have set the seller's expectations accordingly. Just feel free to drop me a DM, and we'll see if we can help you out with it. So all right, take care. Talk to you later.
All right, Big Rob.
Okay. Yep. Bye-bye.